She drew a gun on my daughter over HOAs, not realizing she's the sheriff. The tranquility of a late autumn evening was shattered by the high-pitched shriek of an individual, an audible crack that sliced through the dusk like a whip. I was kneeling, my hands buried in the cool, rich earth, when I looked up. Karen Whitfield stood before me, a bizarre apparition in a fluorescent safety vest and a white hard hat. Clutched under one arm was a clipboard, a general's blueprint for war, and in her other, a handgun. "What in the world, Karen?" I began, my voice choked. "Hands in the air," she bellowed, the sound so piercing it set the neighborhood dogs to a frantic baying. "You're under citizen's arrest." A cold dread seized me as I saw her gaze land on my daughter, Claire, who had just pulled her Jeep into the driveway. She was still in her work clothes, a bag slung over her shoulder, when she found herself staring into the barrel of a pistol. But Claire didn't even flinch. She just stood there in the fading golden light, a picture of unflappable calm. "M-A-A-M, Claire said, her voice like polished steel. "You need to lower the firearm. Now." Karen's sunglasses glinted as she brandished the weapon. "You're the worst of them all. You're an anarchist. I'm the president of Brookstone Estates," she screamed, her voice a feverish crescendo. "I'll not let you or your illegal shed diminish our property values." From the porch, Linda, my wife, gasped, "Karen, have you lost your mind? There are children here." She pulled our two small grandsons to her side. Karen barely glanced at her. "Peace and order must be preserved. Rules are rules." I saw David, my son-in-law, his hand on his phone, already dialing 911. Thank heavens. I took a step forward, my knees shaking. "Karen, stop this. That's my daughter you're threatening. Put the gun down. She's a trespasser." Karen retorted, her face a mask of rage. Claire slowly raised her hands, palms open. I recognized the stance from her academy training. A study in calculated composure, prepared for any outcome. "My name is Claire Miller," she said, each syllable a pronouncement. "I am the county sheriff. That firearm you're holding is currently pointed at an officer of the law. That's a felony offense. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I'm giving you one last chance to drop it." The word sheriff landed with the force of a thunderclap. Karen's eyes blinked rapidly, a flicker of confusion crossing her face. "No, you're not," she stammered. "You're just some girl. I am the law," Claire stated flatly, "and you're about to spend the next decade in a prison cell." A tense stillness descended upon the street. Porch lights clicked on, and curtains parted. I could feel the hushed anticipation of a dozen onlookers. The grandchildren whimpered softly. Linda whispered reassurances to them, but her own voice trembled. Karen's hand began to shake, the pistol wavering. "I'm the president," she tried to assert, her voice cracking with fear. My fists clenched, a hot anger replacing the icy terror I'd felt. 4 months, this woman had tormented us, but threatening my child, that was the final, uncrossable line. Claire's eyes remained locked on hers. "Last chance, Karen," she said. On the ground, in the distance, I heard the faint, but unmistakable, wail of sirens. Relief washed over me. The cavalry was on its way. Karen's face contorted, a mixture of fury and panic. She looked at the pistol in her hand, as if only now comprehending its lethal weight. In that moment of strained silence, as the entire neighborhood held its breath, I understood with chilling clarity. This wasn't just a neighborhood squabble anymore. This was a war. The first cracks in Paradise, Jack. "This is the one." Linda's voice trembled with excitement as she stood in the center of the spacious living room, sunbeams illuminating the newly painted walls. She ran her hand over them as if in a blessing. I chuckled from the doorway. "You say that about every house." "No, this is different," she insisted, gesturing toward the back deck. "Look at the yard. It's so quiet, so safe." Safe. The word resonated deeply with me. After 35 years in construction, with worn-out knees and a perpetually aching back, safe sounded like paradise. My son-in-law, David, walked in, the youngest grandson perched on his hip. "Dad, it's perfect. The schools are close, the park is just 2 blocks away, and look at that driveway, you could fit a whole fleet of trucks." Claire, my daughter, grinned. Plenty of room for the grandkids' bikes, too, or even a fishing boat. The place felt right. It wasn't extravagant, but it had a good foundation, solid bones. My engineers I approved. The realtor, smiling, confirmed our intuition. Brookstone Estates is a highly sought-after community, she chirped. Low crime, friendly neighbors. The HOA handles all the common areas. HOA, I mumbled, a flicker of concern crossing my mind. Linda shrugged, as if to say, what's the harm? We were too engrossed in imagining a future of holiday dinners and quiet evenings on the porch to give it much thought. The first few weeks were a dream. We settled in, Linda planted flowers, and neighbors waved. Then, the notices began to appear. Reminders about trash bins, suggestions for mailbox colors, all signed by the same person, President Karen Whitfield. Linda tried to brush them off. Just the HOA doing its job, she said. But the tone of the notes felt less like a friendly reminder and more like a command. The first real confrontation came as I was spreading mulch. A black golf cart, topped with a spinning yellow hazard light, puttered to a stop in front of our house. Karen herself, clipboard in hand, strode up the driveway. Mr. Miller, she barked. Not even a handshake offered. That's me, I replied, wiping my hands on my jeans. You failed to submit an application for your shed. She tapped her clipboard. All new outbuildings require pre-approval. You must cease construction until the architectural committee convenes. I blinked. Committee? Myself and my secretary, she stated. Our decisions are final. I glanced at the half-finished shed. It was just a place for tools. Linda came out onto the porch. Karen, surely we can discuss this. Jack's not hurting anyone. Rules are rules, Karen said, her lips a thin line. Your paperwork is due by Friday. She then turned and drove off, the yellow light on her cart a taunting beacon. I stood there, stunned, the first crack in our peaceful paradise already forming. The escalation of absurdity, Jack. Did you see this? Linda's voice was a mix of annoyance and disbelief as she walked into the kitchen, holding a notice. I adjusted my glasses and read the violation. Trash receptacle visible beyond approved hours. Fine, $50. I laughed, assuming it was a joke. We put the can out on Tuesday night, just like everyone else. But at the bottom was that same, sharp script, President Karen Whitfield. That was the first true red flag. A week later, another visit from the golf cart. Karen approached me as I was unloading lumber. Unapproved building materials, she scribbled on her clipboard. All construction requires prior review. That's Article 7, Section 4 of the bylaws. I felt my jaw clench. Karen, these are 4 shelves in my garage. Nobody will even see them. She just smiled thinly. The rules apply equally, Mr. Miller. By the end of the month, we had a collection of notices, improper lawn edging, non-approved decorative lights, and my personal favorite, excessive use of driveway chalk from our grandsons. David called it harassment. Claire, ever the professional, saw a pattern. You've become her target, she said. The situation came to a head on a Sunday afternoon. We were having a barbecue when Karen's golf cart came screeching down the street. This gathering is in violation, she shrieked. To many vehicles, noise levels above community standard. Disperse immediately. Our guests looked on in confusion. Karen, we're on my property, I said calmly. The road is county maintained. I am the authority here, she declared. That's when Claire stepped in. Hi, I'm Claire, she said, a disarming smile on her face. Can you show me the county ordinance we're violating? Karen's jaw tightened. It's an HOA bylaw. Except we're not part of the association, Claire said lightly. My parents' property predates the HOA. The cul-de-sac fell silent. Karen's face contorted. You think you're so clever, she hissed, snapping a picture of our license plates before storming off. Linda put a hand on my arm. Jack, she's not going to stop, is she? I shook my head. This was just the beginning. Building the dam, Jack. You're saving all of these, right? Claire's voice was low and firm as she flipped through the mounting pile of notices on the kitchen table. Every single one, I sighed. gesturing to the stack of papers with violations for everything from trash cans to overly visible garden tools. "You're building a case," Claire said, and a flicker of hope ignited within me. We bought a banker's box and labeled it HOA files. Into it went every notice, every photo Karen took of our yard, every letter she left. I started a notebook, too, documenting her patrols and lectures. It felt silly, but the pattern of her behavior was undeniable. 2 weeks later, the situation intensified. We received a certified letter demanding $600 in unpaid dues and threatening a lien against our property. "She's lost her damn mind," I fumed. "A lien over a shed." Claire scanned the document. "This is not only extortion, but if she files this with the county, it's a false legal document. That's criminal." Linda's face was pale. "We moved here for peace, not legal battles. She's left us no choice," I said, placing the letter in the box. "We have to fight back with facts." From then on, I was more vigilant. I kept a small notebook in my pocket, documenting Karen's every appearance. Neighbors started confiding in me. A man down the street was fined for his flagpole, a young couple for their swing set, a widow for feeding stray cats. I began a second notebook for these stories, and with every page, the clear pattern of harassment became more obvious. She wasn't protecting the neighborhood, she was terrorizing it. "You'll regret saying that," she hissed at me one Saturday morning, after I intervened when she tried to find Mrs. Harris for a stray cat. "You don't scare me, and you don't scare her," I said, a new kind of resolve solidifying within me. That evening, I gathered a few neighbors. We shared stories and found solace in our collective struggle. "We need to put our evidence together," I told them. David, my son-in-law, suggested a class action lawsuit. Claire said it was grounds for removal, but Linda's face was etched with worrying. "Jack, be careful," she warned. "She's unstable. She get worse." I knew she was right. Karen wasn't just a nuisance, she was a ticking time bomb. "The point of no return, Jack. Did you see the sign she put up this morning?" Linda asked, holding up a picture on her phone. It showed a new metal sign hammered into the entrance to our street. "Private road. HOA access only. Trespassers will be fined and prosecuted." My blood ran cold. "She can't do that. This is a county road." That afternoon, another letter arrived. This one on official-looking letterhead from Whitfield and Associates HOA Council. It was an intent to file a lien for a total of $1,000. Claire, who had come by, took one look and snorted. "Whitfield and Associates. That's her. She's faking legal documents now." The following week, Karen's patrols doubled. She'd circle the block nightly, taking flash photos of our homes. One night, I heard hammering and walked to the corner to see her mounting a flashing red light, like a police beacon, onto the roof of her golf cart. She flicked it on, casting an eerie glow down the street. "Enforcing compliance," she said, her voice a cruel caricature of authority. "You should try it sometime." The final straw came on a Friday. Tom Henderson, our neighbor, came to my house, his face pale, holding a piece of paper. "She served this to me today," he said, handing me a notice of court action for his flagpole. There was no case number, no seal, just Karen's signature. Tom was terrified. Claire took the paper, her jaw tightening. "This is flat-out intimidation," she said. "She's impersonating legal authority." "She's getting bolder," I muttered. Linda, her eyes wide with worrying, whispered, "What if she goes further?" I looked at Karen's house, her porch lights blazing. "She already has," I replied. This wasn't about bylaws anymore. It was about power. The final gambit, "Dad, don't touch that envelope," Claire said the next morning as I reached for another notice on my truck's windshield. She carefully slipped on latex gloves. "Fingerprints are evidence," she explained. "She's escalating, and we need to document every single thing." That afternoon, she spread the growing pile of fake citations and photos on our dining room table like a crime scene investigator. "You've done a good job keeping records," she said. "But we need more. We need video." I sighed. "Peace doesn't mean rolling over," she said calmly. It means making sure the law protects you. I went to the hardware store and bought a security system, with Tom Henderson helping me install the cameras. As they blinked online, Claire tested the feed on her phone. "Perfect," she said. "Now, if anything happens, call it in immediately. Don't engage." Her instincts were already proving correct. The next night, the camera caught Karen pacing at the end of our driveway, snapping flash photos of my truck at 11 p.m. "Classic obsession," Claire said. Reviewing the footage, she's building a fantasy case file, and when the fantasy collapses, she's dangerous. But Claire wasn't just watching. She was digging. Using her badge, she checked county records. One evening, she came back with news that nearly knocked me out of my chair. Her HOA legally dissolved 18 months ago, she announced. They never filed the renewal paperwork, so she's running a ghost organization. I asked, "Worse," Claire replied. "She's collecting money under a name that doesn't exist. That's fraud. She's bluffing, and the second anyone calls her on it, she's going to lash out." We sat on the porch, a growing sense of foreboding settling over us. "Here's what I think," Claire said quietly. "We let her unravel herself. Every tyrant overplays their hand. We need airtight evidence. When she finally crosses the line, and she will, there will be no escape." Linda shivered. "We wait for her to snap. We prepare," Claire said. "Cameras rolling, records organized, neighbors informed. When she takes her shot, the law won't just stop her. It'll bury her case so deep she never dig out." I looked across the street at Karen's house, its porch light alone, defiant glow. My daughter's words echoed in my head like a warning bell. Endgame. The night of the incident, the piercing wail of sirens grew louder, their blue and red lights painting the cul-de-sac in a frenzied, strobing pattern. Karen, seeing the approaching police cars, raised the pistol again, pointing it aimlessly at the sky. "This is my jurisdiction. I'm the president," she screamed, her voice breaking. It was over. Two officers emerged from the first cruiser, their hands hovering over their holsters. "Mum, drop the weapon," the female officer commanded calmly. Karen hesitated, her carefully constructed world of fake authority crumbling before the real thing. She looked at me, at Linda, at the neighbors who had gathered to watch, and finally, her gaze landed on Claire, who stood stoic and unwavering. With a whimper, Karen's hands trembled, and she let the pistol clatter to the ground. The soft sound was swallowed by the rising volume of the sirens. The officers moved in, cuffing Karen without a fight. She was no longer the dictator of Brookstone Estates, but a terrified, defeated woman. As they led her past us, she kept her head bowed. The yellow light on her golf cart sat motionless in the driveway, a silent, useless relic of her failed reign. Later, as the moon rose over the quiet street, a few neighbors came over. We didn't talk about the fines or the notices. We just shared a quiet, collective relief. We had moved here for a peaceful home, and for a long time, Karen had threatened to take that away. But in the end, her fabricated rules and phony authority were no match for the truth. We had the evidence, the community, and we had Claire. As I sat with Linda on the porch, I felt a heavy weight lift from my shoulders. The war was over, and the good guys had won. This wasn't just a neighborhood anymore. It was, finally, a home.